Today on Car Traction, welcome to an empty cricket club. Although today it is not empty because it is rapidly filling up with a lovely array of classic cars and sports cars and pretty much everything in between. We're at the Crewe Vagrants today, which is the site for the WEAVER Wonder Classic Car Road Run, and there are over 100 very different cars booked for the event. We're here in the little yellow MX-5 not taking part, because if we took part we wouldn't be able to film the classic cars leaving, going on the road run for you. So that is some dedication, so subscribe. Anyway, it will not be long until there will be a flood of cars rolling in, so let's head down to the entrance and see what classic cars are turning up for the 2025 WEAVER Wonder. Wow, I like the look of this one, a Triumph TR7 V8 rally car. These things are absolute weapons and sound awesome too. That looks so cool in the Lombard RAC rally livery. That is a proper weapon of a car, proper rally car there. I'm sure that's exciting for road use. I'm sure before long this field will be full of so many interesting and diverse cars, but I've just diverted from the arrivals for a second to have a look at this very smart Volvo Amazon. This is absolutely beautifully restored car and a high spec one in its period. This is the 123 GT. We'll just divert for a second to have a look at that. It's a very smart little Mazda MX-5. But yes, just beyond the Ford Granada. This is the 123 GT, so it's the highest spec version of the Volvo Amazon you could buy, and this is an absolutely beautifully presented car, really practical car as well, the ideal steed for a classic car road run like today. But that is just absolutely immaculate, and of course being a Volvo, very safe and reliable, but that just looks so nice, doesn't it? That is certainly an early favourite of mine, but let's see what else is going to turn up. One also very rare Swedish classic is this, the Saab 99. This is a GL. There would have been a few of these in the UK, but now you really don't see them, and this one being an automatic, even rarer, next to the little MGF. Quite an affordable way to get into classic car road runs like this. And that is one rare Saab, and that is one smart looking Jaguar XKR convertible. So many interesting cars arriving now. The Jensen Interceptor. Those are so cool. Followed up by a Mark III Mazda MX-5 and that wonderful 105 series Alfa Romeo just back there. You can see the other cars in the background being directed to the other field. That's the club section. This is just the miscellaneous cars section. Isn't that lovely though? Mark I Austin Cooper S. That's another top of the range car from its day, the fastest of the lot of the Mark I Minis. And behind that a Mark IV MX-5 this time. This is a very smart BMW 535i E34 5 Series saloon there, followed by the Mercedes SL of a similar era. I'm sure this is pretty much as good as variety gets, the Chevrolet C10 or something like that. I really don't know the specifics of those pickups, but 1966 or 7 Chevrolet pickup there. Triumph TR4, Jaguar XKR convertible, the Willys Jeep, and the rotary powered Mazda RX-3. Classic car show variety. Doesn't really get much better than this lineup, does it? This is a car I haven't seen before and I love the look of it, the Triumph Herald Estate. I love the design of those, and that in estate form looks so stylish, doesn't it? That's such a good looking car actually, isn't it? That's followed by the MG TF. That one is a lot more of an orange shade that you usually see those in. Might as well see what else is on the other side of that amazing Chevy pickup. These are always a fun pair to watch leaving. The owners dress up in, you know, all the stripy t-shirts and baguettes hanging out the windows. The pair of Citroen 2CV6s. This is a very smart Morgan here, the 4/4. One thing I'm noticing is so many red cars here today. I guess red is the colour of pretty much most sports cars from this old era, and it is the colour of this really cool Honda S800. Kind of Japanese K car sort of thing, very very small. That's kind of what the K car means, but before the K car term was really used, that was more of a 90s thing. There goes Citroen 2CV fourgonette. That's French for van, methinks. Well, yeah, this is such a good looking little car. They rev to like 11,000 RPM or something, this one from 1967. And they must be such a hoot to drive because they're so light. It must be like a Japanese Lotus Elan, just with about 4,000 more revs. Arriving now is a car that seems to do almost every event in the local area, and it's always well appreciated. The Sunbeam Talbot Tourer. Just have a little wander around this particular section of the WEAVER Wander, today's classic car road run, and see if there are any highlight cars out of this, another an eclectic mix. And the MGTF is quite interested in that shade of orange, but I think this Triumph Herald Estate looks absolutely awesome. Such a sleek side profile in estate form. I think that looks so cool, and a very affordable, practical classic as well. And these cars were probably dailied up until the sort of 1990s when they started getting a bit too old, and probably a lot of people started scrapping them. This one seems to have survived with quite a large exhaust tip, and I think those lines as well, the sort of huge windows down the side, great for visibility, and I think they make that look really nice. I genuinely think the 1360 Heralds are fantastic looking cars, and especially in the estate form. I think I'm just the sort of person to think that estates always look so much cooler, have such a cooler side profile than saloons. That's just me, but I think that looks awesome. Far more exotic than a Triumph Herald, I'd say. Let's see what else there is. Mark III Mazda MX-5, that looks smart, doesn't it? With its nice little hard top. And I love the colour of this Jensen Interceptor, the SP 6-pack. Something to do with the carburettor, that one, the particular spec of this one. So many louvers on the bonnet, and this lovely shade of light metallic green really just sets the car off, doesn't it? It's almost like an Aston Martin green. One of my favourite colours actually for cars like this. Vinyl roof, that really sets that off beautifully. This Mark I Mini, specifically the Austin Cooper S, also looks a really lovely little car next to the Mark IV MX-5. Let's see what else we have down here. This looks to be a sort of Caterham / Westfield-esque kit car, probably more likely the likes of a Robin Hood or something, but Ford Pintos up front usually in these, very tunable engine. I had a ride in one of these, as I said before, a couple of months ago, and they're not quick, but they feel quick, which is the important thing really. Then they can actually make really good little cars. This is another car that I really like, the Jaguar Mark II, but this one is extra special as it's a 3.8 manual overdrive car, so a 3.8, 220 brake horsepower, inline 6-cylinder engine matched up to a manual gearbox. Yes please, and those looks as well, what a beautiful car. That would be the perfect weapon for a classic car road run. Yeah, I'm sure you can tell I do quite like that old Jag, but let's see what else we have. This looks to be a very presentable little MGB GT. I think I've seen a lot of these going off into the club sections down there, loads of Triumph Stag clubs and Triumph TR clubs and MG clubs. There's just so much. This looks to be a very nicely prepared Mark I Ford Escort rally car. It looks to be a fully genuine rally car, judging by the cage and timing gear, cut-off switches inside. Some of these are a bit all bark and no bites. They have sort of the spot lamps and mini lights, but they're not actually tuned. But this looks to be the real deal, a proper bona fide rally car, that one. I'm sure that'll be a bit of a hoot on the road as well. Porsche 911 Carrera 4 there, and a 2.5 litre straight 6 in this, the BMW Z4. These are meant to be actually quite good cars, quite affordable at the moment. Little Mark 1 MX-5, very modified little car, fully sort of custom side skirts and front bumper, rear bumper spoiler on that one. The Porsche 718 Spider here, looking very, very smart on the gold wheels. And for me, one of the most important things about this car is its gear stick. It is a manual, as one might say, and I think for a car like this, it's just perfect having a manual. You know, who wants flappy paddles when you can rev match on your own instead of a computer doing for it, you know? And that looks pretty sharp as well. I do like this particular spec of car being the Spider. Has these sort of fairings behind the drivers. The sort of different spec cars don't have those. This is the sort of distinctive feature of the Spider, and I really like those. They sort of hark back to the 50s, 60s Le Mans cars, which I think is always a cool thing to do. Just beyond that, a Jaguar XKR convertible. That's another pretty quick car as well. And the Mercedes SL280. Those have a reputation for being absolutely bulletproof. Just in front of the Spider, the BMW 535i and another Mercedes SL from the 1990s. That one's the 500, so V8 up front in that one. The SL280 over here I think would just be a 6-cylinder car. We got an MGF up front next to a Mazda MX-5. Two cars pretty much from the same era. These were probably competitors back in their day, and they still are among modern classic enthusiasts today. You've got the mid-engined MGF or MGTFs and the Yunos Roadsters and Mazda MX-5s, and personally I'd usually go for the Mazda MX-5, but there seems to be plenty of these MGFs and probably loads more in the MG Owners Club section in the Classic Car Club car park. As I said, all the cars won't be here for too long. They'll be heading off for their road run before long. Owners have to go off and get all their Weaver Wonder plaques and stuff. This, I'm being told, but 10 Taurus seems to get absolutely everywhere. It's fantastic to see that car out and about again. And the Citroen 2CV fourgonette in the Gulf livery. Under the trees now, a black MGA Roadster. Now I see a lot of these cars around the UK classic car show scene, but they're almost always white and red, so it's great to see a black one over the green interior. Wow, I love the spec of this. Oh, that's interesting, a left-hand drive one. So this originally would have been sold to the US market, import spec plates as well. So this has started its life after leaving the MG factory in Abingdon to go off to the USA, and it's come back to the UK at some point. And this is a good looking car, isn't it? Actually quite a good pair of looking cars. This is an interesting comparison. In the same colour we have the 1990s BMW Z3 and the noughties 2000s BMW Z4, and it's great to see the styling comparison of these. And this particular car is an achievable dream car for me, really. The 2.2 litre manual straight 6-cylinder engine in these, and this one isn't badged. So these, I think the unbadged ones usually tend to be the smaller 4-cylinders, like a 2 litre 4-cylinder turbo or something, as opposed to the 2.5 litre naturally aspirated straight 6 we saw earlier. This one a 2.2 litre car. Personally I prefer the styling of the Z3s, but that's just me. It's just a bit more retro, as this is a much more modern car, especially inside. But a lot of people will, I think these sort of are a lot more advanced in their technology, but I just love the look of those earlier Z3s. This is an incredibly clean Austin Maestro here. Very, very original Porsche 911 GTS. And that looks a nice pair, doesn't it? First up, that Ford Cortina 4-door car from 1965, I think that one is. That looks another really nice and usable classic British saloon, with the Morris Cooper Mini just behind, also based on the Mark 1 Mini platform. Yeah, there's plenty arriving now. This Chevy Bel Air gets absolutely everywhere. It's an incredibly sort of restored, resto-modded car. It's got a 400 brake horsepower, 6-litre V8 in it now, which is quite a bit more powerful than the original. And that looks a very smart little Volkswagen Beetle there. Here's that very nice Mark 1 Ford Cortina. Jaguar XJS convertible here as the Austin Healey rolls past there. Those Healeys are wonderful looking cars, wonderful sounding cars as well. As I said, I'll get all these cars leaving, but this is a 5.3 litre V12 up front in it, this particular Jaguar XJS. They were sold as 6-cylinder cars, but the sort of cream of the crop in terms of Jaguar XJSs was these V12 cars, a wonderful engine that was developed by Jaguar and meant into many, many cars. This is a much later Mini, a 1980s era Mini, which is very much an evolution of that car there, the Mark 1 Morris Cooper Mini. Just next to that lovely 123 GT Volvo Amazon, we find the Audi TTS, which is absolutely immaculate today. There's clearly been a lot of cleaning going on to that one. Look at those very shiny alloy wheels. And we have this lovely steel wheels on this one, the Alfa Romeo 105 Series 2000 or a 1750, that one. TVR. These, I think, have the S6 V6 engine from Ford. But this isn't a very unusual colour, it's original colour, this particular classic Alfa Romeo coupe, and it's very, very rare to see it like that. And then we got the Porsche 924. This one looks quite snazzy with the Porsche decals. What did I say 924? I mean 944. These were sold as the 944, which is what we see here, and the 924 was a slightly smaller variant of this car. These had like 3 litre 4 cylinders, which is not something, you know, you don't usually see such big capacity 4 cylinders in cars of this era, but they did for the 944, which must make it quite a torquey unit. But yeah, the 924 is the smaller one, which I mistook this one for a second, but this, as it says on the steering wheel, is a lovely 944. Right, let's see what we missed and what has arrived in the club section of the WEAVER Wonder Classic Car Road Run. There's still cars coming in. These are meant to be, like, everyone's sort of constantly shouting about how these seem to be one of the best investment cars at the moment. They're going up in value insanely quickly. The Mark 1 Ford Focus RS's, a car that has gained so much popularity recently. Oh, I remember this car. So hopefully you guys remember the little Honda S800 we saw a few minutes ago. This was one of those, but this one has had an extended wheelbase, and it's been sort of formed into a sort of pickup, like an El Camino sort of thing. It's such a weird car, because the amount of work that it must have gone into extending that body all the way to there, but I think it still retains most of the original running gear. It's still the original engine. That was here last year, and they part together, and it's an unbelievable sort of conversion that's been put on that one, because that used to be a little sports car, now it's a sort of little sporty El Camino mini pickup. I have a feeling we've probably found the Triumph Stag Owners Club. There's always a huge following for Stags and various other Triumph models, which I'm sure we'll see down here. Now this is a Triumph that you won't see anywhere else. This used to be a Triumph held coupe, and it's been incredibly restored to be a sort of 1960s racing car. It's been swapped with a Triumph GT6 engine, which was the 6-cylinder variant of the Triumph 4-cylinder that went into the Heralds and Spitfires, and it's a car we've seen plenty of times before, so I won't dwell on it too long, but it sounds fantastic, and it's actually a really convincing sort of replica of like a Maserati 300S, because it's got all old running parts. All the dowels in it are old, and it has that old lumpy exhaust sound. It's not just like it's got an MX-5 engine in it or something. And once again, so many more Triumph Stags. It just shows, you know, how popular these particular classic British V8 cars are. And there's a Triumph 2500S here, the saloon variant. These having the 2.5 litre straight 6-cylinder engines. These have got 3 litre V8s in them. We've got the Midget and Sprite Owners Club here. Several, I think it's all Sprites here so far actually, no MG Midgets, there you go. So these are all the Austin Healey Sprites. This one effectively the Mark 1, the Frog Eye. These are sort of all ranging Mark 2s and Mark 3s, these particular Sprites. And there's of course the MG variant of these cars, MG badged up, but these, so far at least, we've only got Austin Healey Sprites, which is unusual because they're usually a little bit rarer than the Midgets, but it's great to see them all out today. So many more Triumphs along here. This seems to be the Triumph TR register, so all the various TR6s TR variants. We're starting off with the Triumph TR6, which is a very good car in my opinion. That also has the 2.5 litre Triumph straight 6-cylinder engine, and this one, the 8-cylinder engine. This is an awesome Triumph TR7 V8. Now I'm not sure whether this is a period rally car or it's since been built up at some time, but that looks like an absolute weapon. And a proper weapon to take on a classic car road run. And there's a pairing of Triumph TR4s here, the earlier Michelotti design. I think they're all Michelotti designed actually. These TR6s are much more modern for their sort of period in the design, a lot more straight lines. They have the cut-off tail as opposed to the sort of separate rear lamps on these Triumph TR4s, just how the sort of design evolved of the classic British roadsters of these types. Triumph Stag here once again in yellow. This is an MGC, so we'll probably see a few MGB GTs here today, but this is probably the only MGC we'll see. It's basically an MGB GT with a strengthened front end to accommodate a 3 litre straight 6-cylinder engine where the 1.8 straight 4 used to go. MGTF, this is in the much more usual shade of red that you see. I'm not sure what was going on, if that was an original colour with that slightly orangey one we saw earlier, and another TR4 on the end there. This one a TR4A from about 1965. MGTF, quite a late one, being 2005 I think that one. They didn't carry on much longer than that. MGR V8, this is sort of the car that is sort of followed on the MGB GT when that was discontinued, and I think they're absolutely awesome looking and sounding cars. This is an MG Midget, there you go. So this is not with the Sprite and Midget Owners Club, but I thought we would be seeing a midget here at some point today. This looks to be the Unos Roadster variant of the Mark 1 MX-5. We've seen a couple of Unos Roadsters. R1, the little yellow one, is the only original UK market Mazda MX-5. All these have since been imported. A couple of MGB Roadsters here. It's always good to see these out. A very well supported classic car as a whole, really. The MGBs and MGB GTs and Roadsters, they're always very, very popular. Very, very popular cars. Also, these two seem to be in some of the most common colours, actually, cream and red. Colours that you see very, very often on there. This one has been modified with quite a snazzy walnut dash treatment. Wow, look at that, a bit of Rolls Royce luxury in what was quite an affordable sporting car in its day. Triumph Stag in brown. Here's the MGB pairing of MGB GTs, actually. So these with the 1.8 litre B series 4-cylinder engines, as opposed to the C with the C series 3 litre straight 6. Right, here we are, everyone, on the interior on this pretty serious Triumph TR7 V8. I've just been chatting to the owner of this one, and it's a perfect mix of original parts. You can see these very stylish, original, period correct bucket seats and modern parts. It's all obviously gone through suspension. It's running about 300 brake horsepower from the V8 in this one. Sounds like he does use it for a few rally events as well, so a properly used classic rally car there. It's not an original Triumph Works car, but it would be quite a rare prospect if it was. But it's an awesome car, really. I'd love to have a go in this, and the livery on this looks pretty special as well. Late British Leyland special tuning, all period stickers. That would be such a hoot to drive on the road, and I'm sure that would sound pretty awesome as well. Now, just behind another Citroen 2CV6, we find this. This is a Jaguar, I think the Mark 10 shape, also known as the 420G. And this is a car I've never seen before. It's another XK straight 6. So the same engine as another car here, which had an XK, oh yeah, the Jaguar Mark II. Same engine as that, effectively. But that is a huge classic British saloon, and very, very rare. The Jaguar Mark 10. Yeah, what an amazing and absolutely huge classic British saloon that is, in the form of that very smart Jaguar Mark 10.
The straight 6 is the Dodgers, one's a pickup, looks like a racing car transport.
Isn't this a great looking car there? This, the coupe hardtop variant of the BMW Z3. So we saw the silver one earlier. This is the uber desirable coupe GT variant. There goes the Scimitar. Sorry, what did I say? Scimitar, DeLorean, there you go. The DeLorean DMC-12 in very original condition, that one actually, and there's that insanely loud TVR Tuscan. But these are really good looking cars. The BMW Z3M Coupe, these have the 3.2 litre straight 6-cylinder engine from the contemporary E36 M3, so that makes them a proper weapon. And I think they do get accused for sort of kind of like clown shoe design sort of things, but I think they're such an epic shape. And it's handy, this pair are parked together again. You can sort of fit these little cars in quite convenient spaces just because they're so tiny. We can see, I mean, I was probably saying exactly the same thing last year, how weird this one is. That's what it's meant to be like. That's what this one's like. It's so weird. I mean, I think they're probably parked in line, so you can just see how much more is on the back of that one. I have no clue still, unfortunately, what is going on with the sort of conversion on that one. Interestingly, this one has some rally timing gear, so maybe sort of either quite lightweight regulatory runs or maybe more heavyweight proper rally stages are being completed at some point in this car's history. And yeah, such an unusual car, that one, next to the mighty TVR Chimera. Looks like the majority of owners are currently sat in their classic cars, so not too long until the cars depart for what the Weaver Wonder really is, all about the classic car road run. So before long, make sure to head down to the entrance and capture most of the exits, because classic cars are for driving, and when they drive they usually sound pretty good. So not too long until the Weaver Wonder really comes alive. I should also mention that I believe this event is called the Weaver Wonder because the main river that goes through Nantwich in this area, I think, is called the Weaver. So that's my very accurate explanation of this event. This is a car that always seems to take part in a variety of classic car events, and most notably the Weaver Wonder. Just like today, the owner of this actually has two of these Mazda RX-3s, the rotary ones. This is actually quite a tuned up one, so that's another sort of amateur rally car that will be pretty quick on the road as well. First car is making its way out onto the road run. I think I'll switch around my mic to better capture the sounds of these classic cars, because that one does sound pretty tasty indeed. That is followed by that immaculate Saab 99 GL Super Automatic. So let's head down to the exit of the Crewe Vagrants and capture some of these old cars leaving onto their road run. You can hear that bel air from miles away. The Saab 99 GL absolutely silent. Right everyone, well that is our morning done at the Weaver Wonder Classic Car Road Run. A fantastic variety of classic cars and sports cars. I didn't manage to film everything leaving, but I did my best to show pretty much everything. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'd love you guys to let me know, let us all know in the comments below which car would have been your weapon of choice for today's road run. There are routes varying from 50, 70 and 100 miles I think in length. For me the Jag Mark II would certainly be up there. But do all that, subscribe, check out last year's event as well, because there was probably a slightly bigger turnout last year as well actually, but we've had still a very good day today. So goodbye and thanks for watching.